sit up straight and tall. Try to sit with good posture, the shoulders back, length through the spine. And as you lift your outer side chest, let the tops of your thighs release towards the floor. If your hips are tight, it's going to feel like your knees try to lift way up towards your chest. So you could also practice sitting on something as you sit here. Take smooth, steady inhalations. Visualize your breath drawing in towards the bottom of your lungs like a container being filled with water. It spills out to the sides and rolls all the way up to the top of the chest. And then as you exhale, allow the rib cage to start to move back in. Let all the air leave you. A couple more conscious breaths like this. In through the nose, out through the nose, sitting up tall. Now let's add on. Interlace the fingers and turn the palms to face forward. Relax your shoulders, collarbones broad, top chest broad. Inhale, take the arms up and overhead. Now lift. Turn your triceps or firm your triceps in and press up with the thumb index finger side of your hand without your shoulders shrugging around your ears. Draw your navel in and up and lift your sternum. Bring your hands back down, change the interlock, take the palms to face forward. Keeping your chest broad, take your arms up and overhead. So you do want to reach. You want to reach and lift past the thumb index finger side of the hand. But watch that the inner shoulder blade doesn't come up around your ears. So it should feel like your upper trap releases. Keep reaching, and also just be aware if the front bottom ribs start to lift and push forward. Absorb those back down into your body. Now turn your palms to face each other. Keep reaching, then twist to your right. Bring your left hand to the outside of your right knee. Bring your right fingertips behind you. When you're twisting, an inhalation will help you to lengthen, and an exhalation will help you to twist. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, twist to the other side. As you're turning and revolving the chest back, the length is just as important as how much you twist. So inhale, sit up tall. Exhale, twist deeper. Let the thighs relax towards the floor, just like we started. Inhale, take the arms up, turn the palms to face each other, reach. And as you exhale, bring your right hand over the side, and we're going to side bend, laterally bend, breathing into the left side body, but keep your left butt bone anchored as you reach over. The right elbow can bend. You could look up at your left arm. Then inhale, come back up, and exhale to the other side. Right arm goes up, left arm goes down. Keep a solid foundation with your butt bones on the mat. Your thighs release, side chest lifts. Inhale, come back up. And now let's transition onto hands and knees. Place your hands underneath your shoulders and take your knees slightly behind your hips, just a little bit further back, a couple inches. Curl your toes under. As you press your hands down, lift your hips and move the hips back away from the wrists. So in down dog, you want to try to create length from your wrist to your outer hip. And then same way we stretch the arms up and overhead by firming the triceps in, by pressing through the thumb index finger side of the hand. We're going to do that same thing here, and then just watch your front bottom ribs. Make sure that those don't push out as you stretch out more. Absorb those ribs back in, but move your thigh bones away from your wrist, hips back away from your wrist. Try to get more length and press the mat down. Hands are shoulder width, feet are hip width apart. So now let's walk the hands back to the feet and take a little forward fold. Grab a hold of your elbows. Feet are still hip width apart and parallel. Put a little bend in your knees. So feel all four corners of your feet ground into the mat. Let yourself release here. All right, bring your hands to your hips and inhale, come on up. Stand in the middle of your mat for Tadasana, mountain pose. So we'll bring the hands at prayer for a moment and then jump the arms and legs wide apart. Let's jump back and let's look at Tadasana again. So now we practiced our jump, but now let's look at Tadasana, because Tadasana is like the blueprint or the foundation pose for all the standing poses. So we can learn a lot from here. So with your big toes together, take just a little space in between your heels so that if you look down the center line of your foot, if there's a line down the center of your foot, they'd be parallel to each other. Then turn your thighs, roll your inner thighs back, and as you take your inner thighs back and turn the fronts of the thighs toward each other so the four corners of your knees point straight ahead, move your buttocks down towards your heels. Draw your navel in and up, and then lift your side chest. So I've turned to the side now, and what I'm trying to create is a plumb line. And mine's just a little funky, but you want to see that your shoulders, hips, and ankles stack over each other, and even your ears come back over your ankles. So you can practice that against the wall to get the feeling too. All right, now let's turn back around and jump the arms and legs wide apart. When you do this, create the same posture. Press evenly into the four corners of your feet, draw your thighs back, buttocks down, and lift your chest. Then let's turn the legs to the right for triangle. Turn the left leg in slightly. Turn the right thigh all the way out. Now look down at your right thigh and make sure it turns. So turn the right inner thigh forward until if you look down, the center ankle, the center knee, and the center hip point straight ahead. Now bend your right leg. So I'm taking time to look at the leg. Look at your leg and make sure that those joints still stay lined up. Then from there you can start to build the pose up. Stay even on your feet, keep the back outer heel anchored, and be right in the middle front right heel. Now lift the arms up to shoulder height. This is Virabhadrasana 2, the warrior pose, warrior 2. So this is a heating pose. You can start to build heat in the body. And the bent knee standing poses are a little easier than the straight leg ones. So this gives you a chance to warm up before you have to go for triangle pose. So keeping your back heel anchored, keeping your low abdominals lifted, like when we were lifting the arms. See if you can bend your right leg a little bit deeper. Now bring your hands to your hips, look back down at your right leg and tip your pelvis over your right thigh. Your legs stay stable, they don't move, your spine stays long, and you're just going to tip your pelvis. Then set the fingertips down. So notice I tried to create length in my spine. I tried to maintain that Tadasana-like alignment. So if you look from my back heel all the way to the top of my head, it's like I'm still doing Tadasana, except I just have like a knee up in my armpit. So I'm up on my fingertips. You might have to go higher, or you might be able to go lower. So you could use a block. Now take your left arm up, externally rotate it. Turn the palm to face the same way you turned your right foot. Then reach the arm all the way overhead. And I'm still trying to create a long line of energy. So like from my back heel to my fingertips, even straight line. And then I come back to the breath. So after you work on your alignment, find the basic structure of the pose, come back to your smooth, steady breath. Inhale, come back up to warrior 2. Straighten your right leg out, pivot your right foot in, arms stay up. Let's turn the legs to the other side now. Turn your right foot in slightly and turn your left leg all the way out. Spin the thigh from inside out. Now place your hands on your hips and look down at the leg. Make sure that that center line of your foot follows all the way up into your center hip. Then keep looking at your leg. Bend your left knee towards 90 degrees. Try to keep your back heel anchored and your back inner thigh lifted as you bend your left knee. So you don't want the back leg to collapse. It's an anchor. The front leg, it's set up as your foundation as well as the placement of your feet. Then lift your arms up. Press strong into your back heel. Lift up on the low abdominals. Feel the navel, just below the navel, start to release back to the spine as you lift your outer side chest and spread your collarbones through the reach of your fingers. Press evenly into your feet. Lift your chest and now lunge just a little bit deeper. See if you can make your left knee stack right over your ankle. Smooth, steady breaths. Bring your hands back to your hips now. Look down at your left knee and tip your hips over your left knee. Then set your fingertips down on the floor, or if you're using a block, on the block. But make sure that your back leg didn't sink. There's a lift up on your back inner thigh. Your back heel is anchored. And then notice if you had to round in your left side to get your hand down. See if you could lengthen out from your left armpit to your left hip. Create more length there. Right arm goes up now. Externally rotate your arm and reach it all the way overhead. Try to find that Tadasana line. And this is how we bring back that mountain pose. What's Tadasana? Tadasana is mountain pose. And again, it's the blueprint. It's the foundation for these standing poses. So if you look at my back leg, from my back arm, my head, it's like I'm still doing Tadasana with an arm up. And then the left leg is just like bent up into my armpit. Inhale your arm back up. Come back up to warrior 2. Straighten your left leg out. Turn your left foot in. Feet parallel. Jump your arms and legs back together. Stand in mountain pose, Tadasana Samastiti. Stand with a state of balance. Now let's practice a pose that's going to help us with the actions of the legs. So bring your right heel up to the inside of your left thigh and place it way up high towards the root of your thigh. Seal the heel and the inner foot along the inner seam of your leg. Now, You might be finding this difficult, so I'm going to demonstrate over at the wall. If you need to use a wall for balance, please do. And in fact, maybe this would be better for us to all use the wall. So use the wall for this pose. Bring your right heel up and stand at the wall. Notice if your left foot turned out. Instead, make the center line point straight ahead so your left leg stays in Tadasana as the right heel comes up. Then turn your hips to face straight ahead. It will make your right knee move forward. I'm showing on the left leg because I was mirroring, but so turn the hips towards the wall and the right knee comes forward. Keep your hips like this. Now start to lengthen the inner right leg. So feel your groin release towards your inner knee. And then pull from the outer knee into the hip socket. And then squeeze your outer hips in and lift your arms up without twisting or without sinking in your middle. Press down into your left heel. Lengthen through all four sides of your waist evenly and stretch with your arms. The navel draws up, chest lifts. Bring your arms back down. Change legs. So now bring the weight into your right foot and bring your left heel up so that it goes right along the inner seam of your right thigh. Place the heel up as high as you can, point the toes straight down. Squeeze the heel into the thigh, squeeze the thigh into the heel. So now, instead of letting your hips open up, your hips should stay even, turned towards the wall that you're facing. Then I've used my hand to encourage the knee pressing open, and then I smooth my hand on the outer leg. So I'm encouraging the movement of the up leg, that left knee. So lengthen the inner leg groin towards the knee. Move from the outer leg into the hip socket. It's like a U-turn of energy around your leg. As you firm in on your outer left hip socket, firm your right hip in as well. Then, now that you have that stability of the firmness of the hips, raise your arms up overhead. Watch that your ribs don't stick out. So just like when we started seated, soften the front bottom ribs, absorb them back in towards your body as you raise your arms up so you don't dip into your lumbar spine. Release and come back to mountain pose, Tadasana, Samasthiti. Separate your arms and legs with a hop or a step wide apart. Ankles go about wrist width. Turn your legs to the right again, put your hands on your hips, and bend your right leg. Now do that same action in your right leg. So now we're doing the same set of postures again, but we're having this new eye for the energy of the bent leg, of the front leg of the standing pose. So continue to lengthen the groin to the knee. Keep lengthening as you bring your right fingertips to the floor. The left arm goes up, so no hands on the hips this time. See if you can get that movement of your hips without putting your hands on them. And then take your left arm all the way overhead. As you anchor your back heel, lengthen your inner right leg, pull the outer right leg into the hip socket, and firm your right hip in and under you. Good, then take your arm back up and inhale, come back up to stand. Straighten your right leg out, and let's take triangle pose. So tip your pelvis over your thigh like we practiced in the last round, hands on the hips. Keep your length, try not to bend over to your side, or round in your side rather. Set your right hand down on the shin or the ankle. Take the left arm up. Same thing. So feel your inner leg lengthen. Press into your inner right foot. And now firm your outer right leg hip in. As you press into your back heel, move your standing leg, your left leg, that's like your Tadasana leg, thigh, back in space. And then lengthen. Lift your side chest as your navel draws up. Inhale, come back up, and change sides. So it's the same actions that we did in Tadasana. Turn the right leg in slightly, and turn the left leg all the way out. Tip your pelvis over your left leg. So we're just going to skip that warrior two and the side angle, just go right to triangle on this side. Put your hand down on your ankle. Take your right arm up. As you lengthen your inner left leg, press into the inner left foot and squeeze your outer left hip in. Press into your back heel now and move your right thigh bone back. Lift your side chest and broaden across your collarbones. Keep that left hip hugged in, stay even on your feet. Press down into your feet and inhale, come back up. Turn your left leg in, hop your legs. Pause the video right now and just do warrior 2 and side angle on your own. Hold those for a couple breaths and just work on those actions of the external rotation. Okay, come back to Tadasana. Now separate your arms and legs wide apart. Turn your left leg in slightly. Actually, let's turn the legs all the way for warrior, or for Parsvottanasana, side plank pose. So turn your right leg all the way out, but you have to pick up your back foot and angle it in a little more than halfway, so it's about 60 degrees. As you press into the back heel, that's your foundation, that's your anchor. Press into the back heel, lift up on the back thigh, and now bend the right leg towards 90 degrees. Lift the arms up. As you lift your arms, make sure that you don't sink into your lower back. So keep lifting and lengthening through all 4 sides of your waist. Feel your upper spine like it moves in and up as you reach with your arms as your navel draws up. Back heel anchored, keeping your low abs lifted, lunge a little bit deeper into the front of your right heel. Then, bring your hands to your hips, straighten your right leg. With your hands on your hips, move your elbows towards each other. The top chest is broad, and then tip yourself out halfway out over your right leg. Fold forward halfway. Then place the fingertips down. So the hands were on the hips so you could feel the movement of the pelvis over the thigh. With the fingertips down, inhale, lengthen, pull your side chest forward, but squeeze in on your outer hips as you do so your belly draws in and up. Then as you exhale, lengthen all the way out over your leg. Press into your right big toe mound, and notice your right hip is going to want to swing over to the side. So hug your outer right hip in. Press down into your back heel and start to lengthen your spine. So feel your upper back is really going to want to try to round out here. So as you feel the navel release to the spine, see if you can encourage more length through the back ribs. Now bend your right knee slightly. Press down into your feet, hands on your hips, and inhale, come up to stand. Let's do those poses on the other side. Pivot the right foot in and turn the left leg all the way out. That right foot turns in a little more than halfway. As you press strong into your right heel, bend your left knee towards 90 degrees so that the knee comes right over top of the ankle. The chest stays lifted. You have that same upright Tadasana posture in your upper body, torso. Now take the arms up without sinking. When your hands leave your hips, it's going to feel like you kind of want to sink into your lower back. So instead, use the support of your core and lift up with your arms. Feel as you press into the back leg, into the back heel, there's a lift up through the front of that back thigh and a reach with the arms. Now bend the left knee a little bit deeper without sinking in your low abs. Keep those pulled up. Straighten your left leg. Put your hands on your hips. Roll your chest open. And as you exhale, with your hands on your hips, feel your pelvis tip, your hips tip over your left thigh. The thighs stay stable, your pelvis tips over. Set your fingertips down. And now start to pull your side chest forward. As you press even into your feet, squeeze in on your outer hips and lengthen. Then as you exhale, fold out over your left leg. Try to make the left leg as straight as you can. Keep pressing down into your left big toe mound, the inner edge of your left foot, and squeeze your outer left hip in so that it looks like if you look at your left leg, your center left hip is in the same line as your left ankle. Your left hip isn't swinging over to the side. Release the tension in the back of the neck. Feel the entire spine lengthen evenly towards your foot. Inhale, come up halfway. Bend your left knee slightly. Exhale, hands on your hips, and come up to stand. Good. Now parallel your feet. Stand up tall with the legs wide, and as you exhale, tip your pelvis forward and fold forward over your straight legs. So the legs are like pillars in this pose. So you tip forward. Put your fingertips down and inhale. Make a flat back. Exhale, walk your hands back. And we're going to come into Prasarita Padottanasana. Legs spread wide apart pose. So in this posture, try to walk your hands back so that the wrists go slightly behind the heels. Press down evenly into all 4 corners of your feet. Draw your outer ankles in and up. And as your inner thighs go back, firm in on your outer hips. The navel draws towards the spine and the back of the head releases down. Press down into your index finger mound and hug your armpit or your triceps in towards each other so the elbows move in. Lift your shoulder blades away from your ears. Let your head drop. Now inhale, come up halfway. Walk your hands around to the right and set up for Parsvottanasana, side plank pose, just like we did. From here, we're going to come into a twist. So put your right hand on your hip and try to lift and lengthen. Remember, the length is just as important as how much you twist. So as you lift up onto your left fingertips, try to get that Tadasana length in your spine. You don't want to be rounding over like a hunchback. So squeeze your right hip in, lengthen out, and then spread your arms. Feel your chest is open. You have a maximum experience of prana when you do this, life force energy through your body. Walk your hands back to center. This is why alignment is so important. Turn your legs to the other side. Inhale, lengthen. Get a flat back. Keep the flat back as you put your left hand on your hip. Try not to round. Then turn your left chest up. Turn your chest. And once you're steady, take your left arm up. Press down into your left big toe mound. Squeeze your left hip in. Press strong into your back heel and lengthen from your tailbone to your crown as you turn from above your navel. Keep lengthening as you inhale and exhale, twist. So again, we want the alignment there. You want these long lines of energy. But once you get those lines, feel the breath move even. So you're maximizing your ability for your body to process prana, but then you have to allow it to process the prana. So allow the breath to move in and out evenly. Come back to center. Put your hands on your hips, press into your feet, and inhale, come up. Interlace your hands behind your back, roll your shoulders back, inhale. Exhale, fold forward with the hands interlaced. Notice where the weight is in your feet. Try to balance out the weight in the feet. Balance out from side to side, and now bring your hips forward so they're right in line with your heels, so it feels like the hips stack over the heels. Let the head go as you stretch your arms. Turn your triceps in towards each other. Breathe into the backs of your legs, which isn't physically possible, but that idea helps them to release. Press down into your heels and inhale, come up to stand. Step to the top of your mat and inhale, reach your arms up overhead. Urdhva Hastasana, upward hands on arms. Exhale, fold forward. Uttanasana, standing forward fold. Hips go forward over the heels. The head drops down. Now, engage your quadriceps. Lift your kneecaps so that you can feel more length in the back of your legs. But make sure that you don't lock your knees back. So feel that still the knee stacks over the ankle, the hip stacks over the ankle. Let your head drop towards your toes. Now, step back into down dog. Feel how much more space, how much easier it is to get into the shape of down dog after we've done these standing poses. So these standing poses will help to open up your body for all the other postures in yoga. That's why we start with these poses. From down dog, lower to your knees, cross your legs behind you and sit back. Lie on your back. Stretch your legs out one at a time. So that's your standing pose practice. Again, it's foundational. It's very important to focus on these standing poses when you're new to yoga. In fact, you could work on this practice for like the first month when you introduce yourself to yoga. Highly recommend focusing on these postures. So now here in Tadasana, there's no more doing, so you don't want to try to control your breath anymore. Just give up from head to toe, let your body drop into the mat. And you're going to notice that you still feel a little bit keyed up. It's going to take like a couple minutes just for your body and your mind to be willing to be still. So allow yourself to go through these different phases or layers of Tadasana. Let yourself relax deeply. Make sure that you take at least 5 to 10 minutes in Shavasana.